We grow up believing clarity arrives through labels, that wisdom springs from complexity. So we tally our days and decisions, measure our worth in milestones, and parse our feelings like accountants balancing ledgers. But the child does none of this. The child greets the world as a tapestry of wonder. Every pebble is a planet, every leaf a secret message. They ask why the moon travels without a map, and we find ourselves speechless and humbled. In their questions resides a grace we have forgotten, the courage to stand before mystery with open hands. Their laughter reminds us that the soul was made for unguarded joy. We have been trained to dissect experience until its bloom is lost, dragging reason behind us like an anchor, forgetting that wonder needs wings. With children, time stretches and blossoms. Each tick of the clock becomes a pulse of endless possibility. Their breath is a hymn of aliveness. Their steps a dance across thresholds we thought permanent. To be with children is to watch castles rise in sand, only to be reclaimed by the tide. They build without fear, trusting the wave will come, not to wash away, but to destroy. Their trust in the unseen is absolute. A dandelion seed becomes a spaceship, a cardboard box a palace gate. They remind us that we too can let the flimsy walls of expectation fall away. In their presence, our hearts unclench. Walls we built against vulnerability grow see-through. Memories of first delight unfurl like morning mist. We remember how it felt to chase a balloon across the street, believing it might carry us skyward. Their eyes reflect a world unburdened by the weight of analysis. They do not ask, "What does it mean?" but "What can it be?" Each glance is an exploration rather than an explanation. Each gesture a poem rather than proof. To see through their eyes is to learn that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a poem to be lived. And yet, we slip back into our shoes, tighten the straps of reason, and don the armor of roles we thought defined us. We forget the lightness in our bones when seen through a child's gaze. But the memory hums beneath our routines, like half-remembered music, waiting to be heard in full. We have forgotten how to marvel. We have silenced the question that leaps before the answer. We have traded play for performance, discovery for decision. And in that trade, our souls have grown quiet, our senses dulled by calculation. But the invitation remains. It whispers in the hush between raindrops, in the curve of a sunrise, in the sudden hush when a child offers you a flower just because. It says, "There is healing in the simplicity of your gaze. There is freedom in the surrender to wonder. There is grace in unlearning how to know." So the question returns. How do we reopen those windows to wonder? If innocence is medicine for the soul, what steps will we take to welcome it home? And how will we learn to walk again in a world that taught us only to weigh? The question hovers like a stray balloon in a silent room. How do we unlatch the shutters of our gaze and let wonder flood in once more? We once ran barefoot through rain-soft grass, believing each blade held magic. Yet adulthood taught us to cut the grass close and tidy the soil, hiding that first taste of dew's enchantment. To reopen our eyes is to learn once again to trust the world's simple gifts. The pebble at our feet becomes a galaxy of speckled patterns, the light through a curtain a private aurora. We practice noticing the subtlest tremor of a leaf, the echo of a raindrop on metal, the surprise in a stranger's smile. Each moment becomes a portal if we dare to linger. Our minds resist this unburdening. They insist on labels, on certainty, on neat compartments for experience. And so we march in measured steps, our hearts echoing an old rhythm we can barely hear. Yet in that echo lies an invitation to loosen our grip on meaning and simply allow the world to enter us freely. Imagine a garden where every bloom opened on its own timetable. You cannot urge the rose to unfurl, nor chide the morning glory for yawning too late. You can only stand in patient awe as each flower reveals its secret heart. So it is with wonder. It cannot be forced, only received. Children do not calculate, they inhabit. Their breath is the music of pure presence, their questions the chimes of curiosity. They touch the flame and feel not pain, but possibility. They see in shadows not threats, but shapes to explore. To walk beside them is to remember that every corner of reality trembles with invitation. We carry trauma, regret, and the ache of responsibilities, stones in pockets that weigh us downward. But what if we slowly tipped those stones into a quiet stream? What if we watched them sink, rising only ripples where they landed? In that light, our burdens dissolve, and the surface of the stream becomes a mirror for the sky. Letting go is not a one-time act, but a return. We practice dropping judgments, releasing resentments, loosening the knotted threads of self-doubt. Each release is a windlass that lifts the window higher until the view expands beyond the walls we built around our hearts. In the hush that follows, we find a cathedral of silence. Sound itself becomes sacred, the hum of traffic a distant chant, the rustle of clothing a whispered prayer. We learn that the ordinary is the canvas on which the extraordinary quietly paints its strokes. Over time, our senses recalibrate. The perfume of soil after rain tastes like home. The angle of sunlight on an old wood floor becomes a living tapestry. The gentle rise and fall of someone's chest beside us reveals a rhythm that needs no score. This regression to unknowing is not a descent into naivete, but an ascent into clarity. We see that the world we thought we knew was only a shadow play of concepts. When we drop the script, the actors step forward in raw truth, and the stage dissolves into open space. And in that space, something miraculous occurs. We become the play. Our hearts expand to hold the laughter of a toddler, the near silent breath of a newborn, the playful dance of a plant reaching for sun. We shed the roles of critic and planner and embody the wonder we once admired from afar. Perhaps this is the real alchemy of innocence. It transmutes our cynicism into curiosity, our fatigue into fascination, our isolation into communion. We discover that trust is not a gamble, but a homecoming. That vulnerability is not weakness, but the door to connection. That joy is not an optional treasure, but the very ground of being. As we stand with windows ajar and the breeze of wonder stirring the curtains, a final question awaits. Will we step fully into the world as it is, eyes unclouded and hearts unarmored? Or will we let the shutters creep close once more? The question lingers between the open shutters. Will we step fully into the world as it is, eyes unclouded and hearts unarmored, or retreat behind the narrow frames of our defenses? In the hush that follows the creak of those shutters, we find ourselves at the threshold of wonder renewed. The morning light spills onto the floor like a silent invitation to remember how it felt to awaken without maps, without judgments, simply alive. To walk again with unarmored wonder is to discover that every moment can cradle a universe. A puddle on the pavement reflects entire constellations if we dare to kneel. A child's finger tracing a spiral in the dust reveals the geometry of delight. These simple acts crack open the hardened shell of routine, liberating the pulse of curiosity that beats beneath our measured steps. We taste air as if it were first breathed. We listen to the world as if it spoke without words. In this second childhood, trust becomes our compass. We learn that uncertainty is not an enemy, but a doorway. The shadow of a tree on a blank wall becomes a page on which imagination writes its most secret poems. We stop weighing each moment for its profit or loss and instead allow ourselves to be carried by the current of pure experience. The soul, long contracted by analysis, breathes freely in its own spaciousness. And then comes the true healing. The body remembers laughter that resonates from the solar plexus, not the throat. The heart recalls courage to leap over cracks in the pavement, to chase a balloon until it dissolves into the sky. The mind, no longer tasked with decoding every sensation, tastes sweetness in the mystery itself. In the merging of innocence and presence, the soul's fractures find their own salve. If this glimpse into second childhood stirred something within your own heart, like the video and subscribe to keep rediscovering wonder together. Now, as the final light of this reflection softens, we stand unguarded before the world's infinite playground. The child within us beckons, whispering that the miracle was never buried beneath years of calculation, but simply waiting for our gaze to soften. To see with those clean eyes is to remember that life itself is the greatest gift, shimmering in each unfiltered breath.